Hello and welcome to Trinity Talk Live, water cooler conversation from a Christian perspective. Happy Easter, everybody. We didn't have an episode for you last week because we were taking the week off for Easter. It's our first episode back. Happy spring. And speaking of spring, we have a very spring-filled episode, or spring-themed episode for you today. I'll tell you more about that in a second. But first, I want to make a quick reminder or quick note that we are going to have, at the end of today's episode, we do have an announcement about Trinity Talk Live and about some of the direction we're going to be going with this in the future. So make sure you stay tuned to the very end for that. Speaking of our spring-themed episode, welcome to Jennifer Merkel.
Hi.
Jennifer is a friend. And what else? Sorry. Go ahead. Introduce yourself real quick for everybody.
My name's Jennifer Merkel. I'm a professional organizer. I live in Havre de Grace. I have 5 kids. I am just finishing up homeschooling my last child, who's now 17 and graduating this year. And I've been organizing for over 10 years in our local area in the county.
Well, thank you very much. And Jen, we met. How long ago did we meet? I'm trying to remember when it was.
We met when we were doing shows.
Yeah, we were doing shows because
You're a good man, Charlie Brown.
When we were doing You're a Good Man, Charlie Brown. Yeah, because
We needed boys.
What's that?
We needed boys.
The
We needed boys.
Christmas carol. No, we did. The first one we did was the
It's a
radio
Wonderful
play.
Life?
Yeah,
It's a
that was
Wonderful Life.
The first one.
Well, we
was-
were, but we originally recruited you because we needed boys because we knew we were doing It's a Good Man, Charlie Brown. That was like 3
years ago.
3 years ago.
Yeah.
So we've done theatrical escapades together, but and for today's purposes, you're here with your organizer hat on,
Right.
And actually, you went to. Did you go to the March for Life this past year?
I did.
You did, and you went 2 years ago. And I know because we'd asked you to come on the episode when we did about the March for Life, but you had a scheduling conflict, you weren't able to
Actually, I
make it.
didn't go this year because I was in Texas, but I went I've gone all the other years.
All the other years,
so,
right?
Yeah.
So maybe if we do another abortion-themed episode here,
That would
and you
be
go to March for
great.
Life, we'll get you
Yeah.
back on again. So
That would be great.
We usually try to. I mean, we didn't do it this year because we'd done it the year before, but maybe this coming year we might revisit that subject again. So. All right. Well, the reason that we asked Jen to come on today is because it's spring, and this is the time of year when people are thinking about spring cleaning. And I know if anybody out there is a lot like me, I do a lot of thinking about spring cleaning. It's the implementation, the getting from the thinking to the doing is where I have some problems. And so that's what Jen's here for, to help us out to overcome that. And so I'd like to we're going to talk a little bit about, what some of the issues surrounding cleaning, organizing in general, but this is definitely the time of year that people kind of really think of it, and see if we can get some good, valuable advice to get people moving. So I want to start out by asking, first of all, I'm going to read a couple scriptures, because we looked this up, and actually, believe it or not, being organized is actually a virtue that, God values and does tell us. Like in 1 Corinthians 14:40, it says, "But all things should be done decently and in order." And I won't read the whole thing, but Proverbs chapter 6 has a whole analogy in there, a metaphor about being like the ant, and it's talking about how organized ants are, and that, that's something that we should be aspiring to. So with that understanding, that's obviously sometimes easier said than done. But let me ask you this for starters. Why, I don't even know why it's always spring, but what is it? What are some of the reasons that you've seen that people want to try to get organized in the spring and leading into the summer months?
Well, I think in general, people want to get organized because you're just more productive when you're organized. You do things work better within the home, within the family when you're organized. And in the spring, you're getting ready to, you're trying to get outside, you're trying to get your yard in shape, you're wrapping up school, and so you've got, papers and things from who knows what, from school. And there will be things from holidays that need to be put away. And a lot of times people procrastinate those things. They just keep saying, yeah, I'm going to get to that. I'm going to get to that. And in the spring, it all kind of becomes, it's like we really do have to get to this because we're going to be doing a lot of really different things over the summer. So it's a time of putting away and getting out different things that we need. And I think people what I see is a lot of times when people call us, what they're really looking for is just kind of a jump start to get some systems in place so that that doesn't happen next year. And a lot of times, you know, it has become something that has just been impeding them, and they're really just tired of, they want to go home and they want to enjoy being home. They want to go, you know, sit down in the office or the TV room and just look around and enjoy their home. And if you're constantly looking at jobs that need to be done, things that you've been putting off, it's hard to have the peace of home because you've got this stuff nagging at you all the time.
Constant reminder,
and you
everywhere
can
look,
see it.
right.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
just even looking at it can be a stressor.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Do you ever find, I'm curious because I'm speaking from personal experience here, I guess, that when it comes to my job, especially whether it be my job as a lawyer or my job here, especially with the video production aspects of it, I'm pretty darn organized. I mean, I have to be.
Right.
I mean, we plan these shows out as far ahead of time as we can. You know, there's Mary Kay and I are both actors producers for the show, and so it could be, you know, we have production meetings where we plan out what we want to try to do. You know, we have to contact potential guests. I don't remember, it's at least a month ago, I know I talked to you about coming on today. And so, you know, if you were to look, if you go into my office, I've got like 3 whiteboards that are monthly. Each one's a monthly calendar. And so I plan out 3 months in advance. And if you look at that, you're going to see my entire shooting schedule for the next 3 months all planned out on there. And yet, it's like, so in that atmosphere, I can be very, very organized. You go to my house, not so much. And so people would ask me, are you an organized person? I'd say, well, it depends on what you're
Right.
talking about. Am I alone in this, or is that a common phenomenon?
No. I mean, we only have so much energy and we only have so much time. And there are things you absolutely have to do. You know, you have to get out there. You have to be able to do your job well. And the things that you can push off, you will, because you've only got so much time. And one of the things that I try to do when I work with people is to help them see where they're spending their time in addition to, you know, their space. Because a lot of times people think, oh, you know, I don't want to spend all of Saturday cleaning the garage because they've been working all week, doing a great job at work, you know, but they can't park the car in the garage when they get home. So they don't want that on the radar for the weekend. But a lot of times what they don't realize is that job, if you break it up into smaller jobs, doesn't take that long. And like for you, let's say your office is in great shape. You come home, if you just pick up a box when you get home and go through it, set it out for recycling or set it out for the trash, that's one job that you've done that took you maybe 2.5 minutes. And it frees up space so that you're not looking at Saturday and spending the whole day cleaning the garage. You're breaking it down into small bites. Exactly.
Right. Yeah, and it's interesting you mentioned the time, because time is also something that I'm always wary of when it comes to just being a parent. You know, I mean, I've got 2 kids, and it's a matter of, you know, you want to make sure that you have time for them. It's like you talk about, you know, you put off what you can't put off. Well, I think the tendency, unfortunately, of a lot of parents in today's busy world is we think, well, what can't we put off? Well, that's our work, and then the family time suffers, and that's tough.
Well, one thing that I tell people to do, and I really encourage people, any task that you procrastinate, time yourself doing it, because it really doesn't take as long as you think it's going to. Almost invariably, like the laundry, it takes maybe 2 minutes to put the load in. It takes a few minutes to switch it over, and it takes maybe 5 minutes to fold it, maybe another 5 to put it away. So you're looking at about 15 minutes from wash to put away. And it seems like it's this big thing that just hangs over us. But if you think about how long it's actually going to take to load the dishwasher, it takes a couple minutes to load the dishwasher. It takes a few minutes to unload the dishwasher. So those are the things that once you realize, you put it into perspective how long it's actually going to take, you'll just do it because it's going to take you a couple minutes. So then the stuff isn't sitting around waiting to be done because you've done it. So then you can go to something else that's going to take a little bit more time and get that done. And once those things are set into a system, then it's very manageable.
So one of the obstacles to us doing this organizing, doing this cleaning, and getting up and actually actively doing it, is that we create an impression in our minds that it's a bigger project than it really is in reality.
Right.
What other types of obstacles, things get in people's way when it comes to this kind of thing?
A lot of times, one of the things that I see a lot is too much stuff. And not because, you're like a shopaholic or because you can't let go of things. But, it's really reasonable to have someone in the family pass and you're the kid who gets all the stuff. So all of a sudden you've got a garage full of Aunt Mary's heirlooms. Or families combine. You have a parent will move in, or you'll have a marriage of two people who've already had families and they've got a lot of stuff, and everybody doesn't, they want to keep their
stuff,
things. Right. And so those are things that just happen. And in life, most people have a pretty good handle on their personal space until there's something like that happens. And then all of a sudden they get a little bit overwhelmed. They start putting things off, and then they develop an organizing problem where they're skilled at keeping control of things as they were, but it's really hard to handle it once there's a change or a shift. That's a big obstacle.
Yeah. Well, and I think a lot of people could look at some of what we've been talking about so far, and I know I could recognize a lot of myself in it, and so they see, okay, I have the need to address this, but then the next question is how to go about doing it. So if we were to start just kind of generally, and we'll see where this conversation goes, maybe it'll lead us down some specific paths, but generally speaking, you've got somebody who's watching so far and says, okay, I need to start taking the first steps. What are some of the first steps towards getting organized?
Well, the first thing is to find, choose a spot for your project. You're not going to do the whole house in a weekend. So find the space that you feel like really has the most clutter and that you can actually work in reasonably well. Let's say it's a spare bedroom and it's got your files and your some stuff from the family and some school papers and
wow,
and
you've been in my spare bedroom.
Just stuff that you've been shoving in there and shutting the door, right? And so the first thing I do is I go in and I look for things I can just throw away, just trash. Anything that's just, old papers like school announcements, boxes of stuff. You'd be amazed what people just put away to deal with later. That's really not, they don't even have to think about it. And then the next thing is I pull out the things that I know I have to sort later. The things that I can't deal with them right now because if I do, I'm going to go down a rabbit hole. You don't want to go to the file cabinet and open it and start taking things out and purging your files when you've gone in there to do the room. You're going to have to do that at some point, but that's not for that day. So getting things sorted into, anything that needs to go to another room, you can do that right away. You just put it in a basket or take it and have the kids come and just hand them stuff and say, go put that away.
That's next week's episode, how to get the kids motivated to help around the house.
We actually did a whole video on that.
Did you really?
Yeah. It's about, organizing your human resources, which is your family.
Yeah.
But anyway, it's then the next thing you do is you look at the things that are valuable, but you just don't want them. It's like this thing is, there are some organizers that subscribe to the, does it make you feel good? If it's not useful, if it's something that, no one in the family, no one, I've asked all my brothers, sisters, cousins, aunts, uncles, and nobody wants this thing. So it might be valuable. You can sell it. You can take it to a consignment shop. You can find a theater. Theaters love stuff that's anything vintage. And the bigger theaters have great places to put things. I worked for one lady who literally had a museum in her house. And the Historical Society was just thrilled to pieces when she contacted them because she had some things that had been in the county, like people who lived in the county that knew about these things.
Right.
So it was really... So those are the things that you can pass on, and then start working, just work around the room and put things where they go. And it once you start like untangling the knot a little bit, it starts to be a little more intuitive, and you start to realize that, it's like, oh, okay, you develop a system for organizing it.
Now, there are some situations where it's going to be above and beyond the norm, so to speak. I mean, we cleaned out our garage, and I need to get back in there again. But a couple of years ago, and I don't know if you ever use, if you got like a really big project, you ever use one of those big old dumpsters in front or something like that. I was actually surprised. We did that for our garage, and again, it kind of gets back to what you're saying before, where you build this up in your mind to be bigger than it really is.
Right.
Wasn't nearly as expensive as I thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
It really wasn't.
Yeah.
And for something like that, when I was cleaning out a garage, and I was, I got rid of an old bicycle and things like that, I needed. I'm not going to stick that in a trash bag and sit it out to the curb.
Right.
So, I mean, if you have, I guess my question then becomes, all right, if we've got these general pieces of advice as far as, we go in this, you first do this, then do that. How do you know when it's gotten to the point where they need someone like you to come in and help?
Usually they've tried several times, and they're just overwhelmed. They go, there are rooms they won't go into. There are just bad feelings about going home. They feel that, some people just need someone to stand there and be that other person, motivating them and pushing them and telling them. It kind of becomes a pattern of, you try, you do a little bit, and then you just stop and you shut the door, and it's kind of self-fulfilling, I guess. And so a lot of times people will call us when they've tried to do different things and it didn't work out. And a lot of times it's just a couple hours of just working with somebody and helping them see that it's really not as hard as you think it is. It's really not a mystical thing. It's not something that, but the books a lot of times don't work. You read a book or you watch a show or whatever, and you think, well, I'll just do that. But you aren't them. And so it's like, trying to give someone a book and help them lose weight. It's like it doesn't work because you're not them. So we come in and we individualize a system that works just for their family and just for them, so that it'll stick. Because anytime you try something that belongs to someone else, there's a chance that you're just going to stop doing it and go back, and it won't stick.
Well, it reminds me of the old proverb, give a man a fish and he'll eat for a day, teach him to fish and he'll eat for a lifetime. I think a lot of people may suffer under a misconception when it comes to professional organizers. They think that your job is okay. So they're going to come in, they're going to clean everything up, and then they're going to be gone, and that's going to be it. But that's not it. I mean,
no.
Tell people a little bit about
we
what
aren't
professional
cleaning
organizers do.
people. That's not because there is a place for that. But cleaning people can't work in a place where they can't get to the surfaces that need to be cleaned.
Right.
And we do always teach the way to maintain what we've done, because the people the people that we're working with have habits. They've gotten into bad habits. They've gotten into a place where they can't get themselves out. So what we usually do is, we go in, we sit down, and we have a conversation. We always, look at the whole house, and then tailor that. We specifically look at the family, the dynamic, who needs order. Maybe some people just are perfectly comfortable living in a cluttered environment. It's not a problem for them.
Right.
And then if they're if they're married to, or they live with someone who needs that, it causes a lot of issues. So, that's the need is what we look at. What is the need? What level do they need to go to? And then help them stay there.
Just like I kind of asked you earlier, if you could give any kind of general advice on, the first steps to getting organized. What about, people who, like I said, who have been struggling with this? Is there any kind of general advice you can give to people to overcoming that inner struggle that they're facing? As far as what would you tell someone who is going through this repeatedly and just can't seem to get themselves mentally to the place where they can stay organized?
There's usually something else going on. There's usually some kind of there will be family issues, or there'll be, self-image issues, and trying to help them find what's disturbing your peace. Why is this something that you keep putting off? What's pulling at you? And, depending on where they are spiritually, I've even talked to people about, prayer and about their peace. When did you first feel like you didn't have peace in your home? When did you first feel like there was discord, like there was, you're not friends with your stuff anymore, like
Right.
It's your enemy? And a lot of times when we go back and we talk about where that started, the issue or the event that caused that comes out. And I have had people say, oh, well, my mom died and I got all her stuff, or I had to go to her house and take care of things, and then everything here just, kind of fell apart. And a lot of times what has happened is they can't move forward because they haven't dealt with that. Right. So it's not even about organizing. It's about where they are emotionally. And once they deal with that, then maybe they can let go of those things that their parents, that they got because they've been able to finish their grieving, or they've been able to heal something within their brothers and sisters in the extended family that kept them from being able to talk about things. And there's almost always something that has impeded their ability to just go back to making their home a peaceful place.
It's amazing. You look at something, you just think, it's just cleaning. Well, it's not just cleaning. I
Right.
mean, there's lots of, we're complex human beings, and there's, what's happening in one aspect of our lives can bleed over and affect other areas as well. So
Our attachment to our things, a lot of times it's kind of an example, or kind of an outward sign of what is going on in here.
Right. Anything else that you wanted to share today about, spring cleaning and getting organized that I haven't asked you about?
Well, one thing that I know a lot of people right now probably have sitting around are decorations from Christmas, Valentine's Day, Easter, those things that haven't gone back up in the attic. Mm. And a lot of times people will open the attic and take the boxes and just shove them in and, make everything else move to the back. So this is a great time of year when it's still relatively cool to get up in the attic, get out all of the junk that is keeping you from keeping the stuff that you want to use next year. Get the stuff out of there that you're never going to touch again, and make that attic space a little bit more usable, because you're going to be accessing it again in November.
Well, it's going to be a lot harder if you've just taken all of the,
Right.
if all the Easter stuff is what's in front, and the Thanksgiving stuff you want to get to is all the way in back,
Yes.
because of the way you've shoved it all in the back.
Yeah.
So, matter of fact, I got to get out to our shed here. We did the Passion Play here, and now this wasn't a matter of laziness organizing. It was a matter that the Passion Play, a lot of it doesn't respond well to rain, and it was raining.
Right.
We were trying to move everything out.
Right.
And so we had
Right.
to move everything out there and just kind of shove it wherever. But I still got a few pieces of the tomb I got to bring out there tomorrow, and I was like, there's no place to put them right now, because that's what
Yeah,
happens when you just
exactly.
shove things in place.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
It's amazing you organize a little bit better how much more everything can fit.
It's amazing.
So if somebody wants to, if they're at the point where they think that they could use your services, how would they get in touch with you?
I am online at New Leaf Organizing Services, and I'm available. I'm pretty much, you just call. I didn't give you my information, but maybe we can put my information.
We'll put it on
up.
the screen. Look, it's
Okay.
magically. It's right. It's on the screen
on the
right
screen.
now. There it is.
Okay, so you would just call me and ask, and I can come out and look at whatever it is you've got going on and tell you what I can do.
Excellent. Thank
Okay.
you very much. And thank you all for watching. Hey, do me a favor. If you did like this episode, go ahead and give it hit the like button. It's a thumbs up button right here on the YouTube page. Also, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. We got lots of different programs on here, not just this one, throughout the week. And share this video, especially this time of year. A lot of other people might be wondering, might be feeling a little bit overwhelmed. They know they want to do the spring cleaning, but they don't know how to do it. And so hopefully we got given you some advice here today that can help you out in that regard. Hey, now I promised at the beginning of the show that we were going to be having an announcement at the end about the future of Trinity Talk Live and what we're going to be doing. essentially what I want to let you know is, first of all, at this point, I usually tell you about what's coming up next week. For the next 3 weeks, actually, we're going to be bringing you regular episodes. Next week, we're going to have Ben Lander back on the show. He's going to be talking with me about the importance of understanding the genre of whatever the book in the Bible is that you're reading, because depending on the genre, it might have different rules for what's called hermeneutics or biblical interpretation. If you're reading a proverb as if you're trying to read something that's a literal, historical record, you're going to have an issue because it's a proverb. There's a different rules to those types of genres. So we're going to talk a little about the understanding genre. Then we're going to have a special episode about Mother's Day during the Mother's Day week, and we're going to, on the third week, we're going to be talking with members of our property team about the struggles and the importance of managing your property, especially your church property here, and having good stewardship in that regard. There won't be an episode at the end for the last week of May because that's Memorial Day, and like I've mentioned before, we generally film these episodes on Mondays, so if the church is closed on a Monday, we don't have an episode that week. Now, the important announcement is this, or I don't know, important might be overstating a little bit, but starting in the month of June, we're actually going to be cutting back a little bit, and Trinity Talk Live is going to be going to an every other week format as opposed to an every week format. So we're at this point we're thinking that we're still gonna that week after Memorial Day we'll still have an episode that week, and then we'll have a week off, and then we'll be coming back that following week, I think the third week in June. And that's kind of the format we're going to be following from this point out, at least for the foreseeable future. There's a couple of reasons for this, to be honest with you. One is that I'm a part-time employee here, and out of all the shows we do here on the channel, Trinity Talk Live does take the most planning and the most muscle and legwork to get it up and running, whether it be putting up the set and things like that. And so it is a bit of a struggle to do it every single week. And also we want to try to focus on some important topics. We're going to try to narrow the focus of the topics that we're covering to the ones that are really of particular interest to you out there. So keep an eye out for that. We're still going to be bringing it to you, still be coming at you, but it's going to be every other week instead of every week. If you all have any feedback about this show or any other show, you can go ahead and give us a like on our Facebook page. That's the Trinity Joppa channel page. And you can comment on any of the posts there. You can send us a message, whatever it may be. We always welcome feedback and show ideas that you may have as well. So that's all we've got for this week. I've probably forgotten to mention something since I messed up my spiel a little bit or mixed it up a little bit this week. Did I forget anything, honey? All right, I think I got everything covered. We'll see. The one thing I haven't done yet, and that's to thank Miss Merkel here for coming on again. Miss Merkel, I don't call you Miss Merkel. I know. Thanks, Jen.
Thanks. Thanks for having me.
And thank you all for watching. God bless.
In your word we will follow.